Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered Tea. Um, and tonight, first of all, how's everybody doing? How has your week been? Has it been crazy? Is it just me? I feel I feel like the end of this month just February always okay. So January was 97 years long. And then February felt like it was going to be 97 years long, but it's always 9 seconds. And it always means that when we get to the last week of the month, I don't know about you, but I always end up being like, "Ah, what's happening?" And it's not any easier with with the current president, and I'm running out of anything civil to say about the man. We're going to cover his ambush of President Zelensky, who is an actual president who seems to be doing the best that he can for his country, as opposed to the president of the U.S., which seems to be more focused on himself and what he can make out of this than actually caring about the people, any people, really, ever at all. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that. I would like to speed it up a little bit, but that can be hard for some folks. So, yeah, Dad says global weirding is taking on a whole new meaning. We have gone beyond the weather. It's just all weird now. Um, we are also going to have, I did pull a few images of the protests that happened in Vermont, because I don't know what it is with this administration and trying to pick fights with New England, starting with Massachusetts, moving on to Maine, and then he tried Vermont. I mean, not overtly, but JD Vance going skiing in Vermont was not that. I wouldn't recommend that. But apparently he got very alarmed at all of the protests, which was as Vermont as you can imagine, a bunch of people out with signs. I haven't seen anything that indicated literally anything else, but apparently, when you say mean things about these folks, they tend to get very, very cagey about it. So yeah, I have pulled this up. The whole thing is an hour. I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit. I went through it thinking I'm going to grab timestamps and we're going to look at some other stuff. The problem with doing timestamps and just zooming through it to the bit that everybody's talking about is when we jump ahead to the bit everybody's talking about, we don't see the buildup. We don't see the little things, the little verbal digs that came in earlier. So am I going to stop this and yell at it? You bet your buttons I'm gonna. Are we going to swear a lot tonight? Oh yeah, if you've got a swear jar, get out your wallet and get out that jar, because we are going to swear a lot tonight. Because this is just embarrassment is an understatement. If you are watching this at any point from anywhere internationally, know that I didn't vote for this. Most of the folks I know didn't vote for this. Even a lot of the folks who voted for this claim they didn't vote for this. So we're sorry. We're sorry. We put this guy back in the White House. Let us know what we can do to work with you, because shit just got weird on a global scale, as that global weirding taking on a whole new meaning. Yeah. So let me bring them. Oh no, you know what I need to do? I need to run the intro. My apologies. I have not fixed the intro volume yet. It's going to be quiet. The intro's going to be quiet. But we'll run the intro and then we'll pull it up and get started. Hello and welcome to The Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about politics, pop culture, and courts, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. Look at that. I managed to do all of that and get this pulled up while we were even waiting for that. I need to be smaller. There we go. Okay. So let us what a pause face, right? we started with the pause face. I also had to redirect which stream I was pulling this from because the first one I had was C-SPAN, which is great. The problem was where their camera operator kept landing and the wider view where we can see President Zelensky, especially when Trump is speaking, is, I think, very important in all of this. So okay, everybody take a deep breath. Let's go.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelensky of Ukraine.
Let's bring that down.
And we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal. But we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. You're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through.
The man literally cannot even open a press conference without it making me, most of which is false.
But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the
whole, in case you missed it, this was supposed to be over very quickly. We will come back to that, but wasn't that the whole Russia line? Also, fun fact, while AP is not in this room and Reuters is not in this room, Russian state media is at this press conference.
Sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters, and you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, like to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. And really, I hope that this um, first document, will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees. Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do. And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories. But it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And then the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that this crazy Russian, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names, they changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back, and really, it's a big dream, task, and goal for me, and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images, how it's.
So I'm going to pause this here because luckily we do not see these images because I am not clearly for most of them. What is fascinating to me is that what little we can see is these are before and after images, as President Zelensky will show. And as we're looking at the before and after images, from what little bits I was able to catch on there, and I appreciate that President Zelensky actually actively hid some of the images from the cameras. I thought that was a good thing. We'll look at that in a minute. But as a human being, when you see a before and after image where clearly damage has been done to somebody, and it's sad, it's hard, it's what have you, most people show something on their face, show something that indicates that it's caught them in some way. And I get why President Zelensky brought these images to show President Trump. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't seem like Trump has any reaction to it.
Just can I know?
Yeah, please.
One minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, they're And that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, so they do a lot of, bad things. So out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war.
Mhm.
These guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yeah, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. We, at the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
seeing.
it's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, this I wanted to
That's
show
right.
you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah. Of course, we
And I
want.
think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. With the, how much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And
I'm going to pause here because Trump has been sold a bill of goods on this raw earth thing. Not from Zelensky. That much is very clear. But from everything that I have seen on the raw earth thing is, and rare earth, he means rare earth materials. Yes, Ukraine has lots of different things. We don't know, they don't know what the war has done as far as extracting them, what that's going to mean. We don't know how we're getting them out or what is actually there. So Trump is running on this bill of goods that he has somehow translated anyway. And he's clearly just focused on what he's getting out of this, not the actual peace talks. This is, what does America get? So yeah, that's where I had to pause.
as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected. But still, it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons.
I mean,
and
at least he's
military,
honest. We're just going to be taking
really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil and we have a lot of gas. We have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do.
And
This puts us in great shape.
And on long-term security for Ukraine. How does this provide?
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and
Really?
I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money. And what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but they had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had
this has been fact-checked from here to high heaven at this point. Sir, no.
Security was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But
if you really wanted the American taxpayer to be protected, you wouldn't be letting Musk run amok through all of our agencies. Just as a side note, just as a side note,
this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine because
you
we
can't
have a big
decide
investment
that,
in their
sir.
country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
This allows us to do this.
Will you continue? I'm sorry.
Sending military aid.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes.
Yeah.
In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really good will for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President.
Mhm.
They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
I love this bit.
No. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far
Both of them would be, both of them don't want to be associated with this.
superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington, but you never know. You never know. I
do
compare
know.
myself to anybody.
Actually,
I'm here to do a
do.
job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But
I'm really tired of him saying
I
both
think we've
sides.
done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. Think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
To President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side?
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that they started to ask, that Trump started to chime in, and it was like, no, this is for President Zelensky. Maybe I misheard that. I don't know. I did not catch that the first time.
The President Trump is on your side at this moment.
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I
Oh,
wasn't.
even more so later.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They
Yes.
began this war, and they have
Yes.
to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history. I think that if President, or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. I think.
We've had very, very good talks.
What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there would be no compromises with Vladimir
Territories.
Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always.
I hate that question. I hate that question. I hate that question. And here's why. It presumes the Russian talking points as opposed to what we know. I guess it's fair, but I don't like the question.
Make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises. But
Sir, you never compromise in anything. People just find ways to work around you because you're like, no, I'm not going to do this perfectly reasonable thing.
hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an
think some
arbitrator,
people
as a
is
mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a
'Cause your dude invaded President Zelensky's country.
vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out. And as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So
I always end up feeling dumber when I let this man speak. War is usually that. It's not good. My brain
I
hurts.
can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. I think
I'm
going to
speed him up in a minute.
Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything.
The guy who asked that question, I can't remember off the top of my head which news network he's at, but he is a pro-Trump propaganda news guy.
Anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction.
If that doesn't sound like a threat to you, we're watching very different news sources, because that sounded like a threat to me, and I live in this country and it makes me very nervous, and I don't know.
if this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won.
It wasn't a mandate. You didn't win it by as much as you'd like to think you did. And also, I'm having serious questions about the validity of this election, and I don't like to dive into that level of conspiracy. It's a whole different show, but I'm getting there.
In every swing state, we won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate. And this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war. And that would not have been a good situation. What was your second?
If Harris had won, we wouldn't have pissed off NATO. We wouldn't have pissed off the entirety of the European Union, and we wouldn't have Putin as an ally. Just throwing that out there.
And my second question for President Zelensky, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see people. Do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity.
Not respecting the office? Billionaire tech bro wandering around in a t-shirt with a 4-year-old on his head, and you want to talk to this man about not respecting the office? Flames on the side of my face.
This office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this.
Something like yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe something cheaper. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Well played, Zelensky. Well played.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine. Yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating.
I do love when he actually says what he means. We needed what they had. So we're not going to send the arms because we're going to get them to agree to what we want. We needed what they had.
Our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else.
I'm going to translate. No, he has no intention of sending security at all to make sure this happens. That's what he's saying.
A million times you said over and over, I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth
digging,
so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to
do that.
A lot of security.
I
don't think you're going to need much security.
I
Once this deal
can't.
gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You had Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
Well, American you, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American
Yeah.
does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell.
Here,
They
'cause
went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. It's just, I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer, sorry, please.
Oh.
And I do like your clothing, but
sorry, sir. I am going to put you on regular speed. I just can't deal with Trumpty Dumpty at regular speed. Ah, yes, Dad coming in with checks. Security in this case means provisions that if Russia does not honor the agreement, Ukraine will be protected. Yeah. Yeah, the flat refusal to not agree to that is a monstrous red flag for me. And I appreciate, though, that President Zelensky just keeps chiming in. Like, I got an answer. I got it. Let me talk. Love that. All right.
Yeah, really?
even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think
No,
I
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more serious things than answer on such
Yeah,
questions.
sure, that's
I will
okay.
answer on more serious
That's a good
questions
statement.
if I can.
Yes.
Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke.
No, you were the president. You were the president
He
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. The France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security, when we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts, I think maybe with your team also, I don't know. But with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay.
This question, you
This
didn't
is
like
the rule.
because-
This is the rule of
because
the war.
I'm
This is
sorry.
the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree,
This is the
President
rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billions, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
That is incredibly important. And it is something that has been severely lacking in everything that I've seen in the last few days is the fact that, yeah, Putin started it. Why this is suddenly a question is beyond me. Putin started it. Putin should pay for it. And yes, Putin is continuing assaults now while they're trying to work a peace deal. In what world would that give anybody confidence that they're going to continue? Like that they're going to want peace. I see Zelensky's point here. I also really appreciate the ever so gentle shutting down every time Trump tries to pull his Trump bullshit on him.
Because I wouldn't know.
Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too.
Yep.
But we're committed. We're going to be very committed. And
Let's be real. Trump has no idea where the Baltics are. I mean, I had to look it up because I'm terrible at geography. Like, abysmal. Terrible. The worst. And yet, somehow, he's worse than me. Yeah. Trump walks back from NATO. I think, honestly, after this, and after what happened, and I know we're getting to the full-blown ambush. I don't know if the U.S. is going to be a part of what we've viewed as the allied nations anymore. It's going to get weird. Real weird.
committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize because they are in for far less than we're in. And they should be at
Not
least equal.
effectively true
You
from all
understand
the
that?
numbers I've
Why
seen.
is the United States, we have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said,
Because some people remembered world wars as being a bad thing, not a way to make money. I'm making assumptions.
they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please, go ahead.
ask you about the agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm just-
deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
A lot of the
I
minerals.
didn't think we were going to make a deal. And we ended up making the deal. So that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision
Yes,
trilateral
good reminder.
with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know,
under
but
these
it's, well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match. And it's unfortunate. That's
Sir, why would they like each other? One invaded the other's country. I don't. And yes, AP and Reuters was kept from the room, and Russian state media is in that room, which tells you. And Russian state media, after this meeting, said that the U.S. is in alignment with what the Kremlin wants. So that's a thing. That's a headline I saw today.
why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many
No,
wars.
you haven't.
My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of.
I'd like to see
Some of,
details.
I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States.
Mhm.
This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa?
Yes, Is this the most brilliant performance by Trump and Zelensky designed to get attention to the reality of what is happening and galvanizing European allies? Or is Trump a Russian asset? I'm going with Trump as a Russian asset, but then again, that's because I've read way too many spy things and I know absolutely not enough about any of it. But so, okay, we're going to break. No, not what I wanted to do. We're going to take a wee little break and we're going to go down one of my conspiracy theory rabbit holes. I need a different bumper for that. But we're going to go with the regular bumper for now because There it is. So, okay, conspiracy theory rabbit hole. I've had this for a long time. Mom and dad can attest to that. So back in the 70s, 80s, there were a whole bunch of folks that worked for Russia, the KGB, that kind of thing. Women in particular, several of them sent to the United States to find American businessmen to marry and groom to potentially be, a president or something like that. Keep an eye on for Russia at any rate. And so my little conspiracy theory, which has yet to be disproven, I have absolutely no factual basis for this. I want to put that out there. This is my own cockamamie conspiracy theory. That Ivanka was originally one of those, and she was really good at it. And she determined that this jackwagon was never going to amount to much. And when she made that conclusion, it was like, okay, can I divorce him now? And managed to get out of it. And I don't know if Melania is in the same, this is where my conspiracy theory falls apart, because if Melania is a part of that, she's not real good at it at all, I don't think. And yet that's me sitting here and he's president, so maybe she's better than I thought. So anyway, that was my little conspiracy theory. Thanks for coming along the ride with me. I will swoop and we will go back to we will go back to our lovely meeting, because the real fiery bits are about to happen. I might not get through it all without yelling.
Which is going to be a third year with Lexi.
It was my question.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of
You
things have to happen.
You have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive and people work and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr. President, one more. I mentioned
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin? And what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess.
Yep.
It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on his behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I.
This is the
so
ambush
Marco,
coming in.
and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of theirs, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made of Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we'll...
Free speech means free speech. And you know what, sir? There are limits on free speech. And your whole we want to lie our way through everything isn't... Go back to sitting in your hole.
to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have.
You've done a really bad... Sir? Let me just remind you, Mr. I'm on a soapbox about free speech, which normally I agree with, went into hiding over some signs that said mean things.
Have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the president's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you guys spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, and how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am, I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
Translation, I'm scared of Putin now.
Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The
European
agreement
forces?
will protect them.
US
The
forces?
agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You
Right,
know?
but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in response?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder
You know,
why.
they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous
Why
questions.
the confidence that
Focus on surviving because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Please,
One more, since I already mentioned Poland, that Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough.
If you were aligned with the world, they wouldn't have had separate meetings at NATO and the European Union without you because they don't trust you. Just also, can we cheers to closed captioning for calling Putin protein at one point, because that made me happy. Because we have to take the joy in the little things. All right. Everybody brace yourselves. Here comes the meltdown.
For me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment.
Because he invaded it's not you. Okay.
I'm aligned with the world. I
No,
want to
you're
get the
not.
thing set. I'm aligned with Europe.
No.
I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough.
Sir,
You're
a
never gonna get a
4-year-old
deal that
told you
way,
to
so
shut up
that's
the
way
other
it
day.
goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace.
I'm going to pause him for our own sakes to also remind us that Biden somehow, while supporting Ukraine and dealing with Putin and the way any dictator should be dealt with, Biden also and his team managed to get hostages back from Russia in a manner that was just under the radar. Nobody really talked about it, but was a big fucking deal. So while we're going to throw Biden under the bus, I just needed to point that bit out because that was a major accomplishment that Biden just kind of let it go and the news let it go, and it's a big deal.
And the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Sir, you keep saying the word diplomacy. It does not mean what I think you think it means. Because your version of diplomacy and the rest of the world's version of diplomacy are two very different things.
Ask you.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea.
Mm-hmm.
So he occupied it on 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
No, you started this. And that was a fair and valid question. That is a fair and valid question. What other diplomacy are you looking for us to do? That is a fair question, especially in front of the news media, including Russian state media.
Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree?
Zelensky's face. The second Vance says you bring them on a propaganda tour, you see on Zelensky's face that moment that he realizes, and I realized, and a whole lot of us realized, they have bought the Russian lies about how this has all gone down. And kudos to Zelensky. I will let this finish out. I apologize for stopping so much, but I need it because, oh boy, JD Vance makes me mad.
Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems.
Correct.
Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve
And
a problem.
meltdown.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly what
Remember
you're
that.
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think about?
War III. And
Me?
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to
Yep.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
Very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today,
have you said thank
even
you?
Yes, JD purposefully wound Trump up. This is our this guy is our president in theory. People love him. I don't know why. That was. Can I just clip this so that the next time anybody says a woman is too emotional to be president, we can just show them this? Because this is a full toddler meltdown. Full toddler meltdown. And yeah, that Zelensky is pointing out the limits of diplomacy without practical real world security protections. Like, it is one thing to say, don't come in my house. It's quite another to say, don't come in my house because I've got this gun that I'm going to use. They're two different things. And after 25 times of somebody, busting in and saying, oh, but really I'm the aggrieved party here. Do we need to? I'll give it a.
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in
Yeah,
October.
no, this
Offer some
is.
words of appreciation for the United States of America.
It devolves. We don't need to see the rest of it because it devolves. It devolves from there. I wanted us, and we've all seen the rest of this. I mean, unless you're just watching it on the White House where they clip this out, from what I've been told. I don't want to give them clicks, so I don't go to the White House page really ever at all. What I am going to do though, I am going to remove that, but we are going to end on a bit of a happier note because President Zelensky dealt with all of that with a calm and even demeanor, asking questions, was still clearly willing to come to the table on things. And I am going to give Zelensky credit whether he intended it or not. this may have been the last-ditch effort to save the UN as we know it and NATO as we know it. Two institutions that have been there since World War II to prevent another world war, and they have worked really quite well. And yeah, the US has been, the US is not without problems, for sure. We could go into a whole lot of the problems of the US. But we have done some good, sometimes, often, most of the time, in spite of ourselves. I mean, let's not forget that World War II was, Hitler wanted to rise to power. A real quick, quickie history lesson that is completely lacking in nuance. Hitler and his buddies wanted to come to power, and they wanted to dismantle their democracy, and they wanted to, get rid of a whole bunch of people. So they reached out to a whole bunch of Americans and went, hey, you guys are doing this pretty darn well and legally somehow, and folks seem to like you for it. Not everybody. How do we do that over here? And a bunch of Americans taught them how to do what we called Jim Crow laws, and they turned it into the Third Reich. So none of this is surprising, and everybody's using the same playbook again. Just saying. Very short history detour on that one. But Trump is actively, this entire thing has put a huge wedge between the United States and NATO and the UN. And for a lot of us who are citizens who don't want that, who didn't want that, who didn't vote for any of the bullshit that we've been dealing with for the last month, we're getting a little scared. And this is where I'm going to say that if Zelensky can have some humor while going home to a war zone, we can enjoy some humor here too, and we need to. And with that, let us, before we take off for the evening, because I could go on for a couple hours on this, and we won't. We won't. We need to do something. At this point, I don't know. I'm seeing somebody run for office. It's like a TikToker. I should swoop. Hang on a second. Let me swoop. I should swoop. Since I've gotten so sidetracked. But I have seen somebody. So I'm also doing 50 different things. So there's a TikToker who's a firefighter who said that if somebody in Florida ran for governor, that he was going to run for governor because he just couldn't do the, no, wait, hang on. I'll get back to that. Couldn't stand by and let this guy just run so against everything. And so he is now actually running for governor of Florida. He put up a TikTok thing that I, of course, saw in Threads or something. Was so guys, how do I run for governor? Because I'm a man of my word. So all eyes on the Florida gubernatorial race, because that should get interesting. And honestly, here's what I'm going to say to any and all of us who are sitting at home, wondering what we can do. And if you've ever thought of running for office, ever, go for it. You look at who's running this place into the ground now. I don't think you need a background in any of this. And as Dad says, this is something that we can do all of the time now. Buy local, use cash. Yeah, now is the time more than ever to support your local artisans, to support your local stores, your local craft fairs, all of those things. Use cash where you can. Definitely. I mean, I've always been a big proponent buy local, but now more than ever. So now it's just a Google search. But to end our evening, let us take a little look-see. Let's take a little look-see. Vance is a traitor, go ski in Russia. I love that. Let's see. One said an ambush. Lots of Vance as a traitor, go ski in Russia. Compassion is not transactional. I like that. Hate is not welcome here. These are apparently the scary signs that sent him to an undisclosed location. Vance skis in jeans. That's entertaining to me. Looking for any of the good ones. Vermont embraces democracy. So far, I'm not seeing anything threatening. They were worse at January 6th. Vance is a traitor. I mean, that's, yeah. A lot of stand with Ukraine. Trump serves Putin. My personal favorite is Mad Reverend Glenn. Can I bring this actually up? Sorry, VP, sold out. I love it. When I said where he was going, I was like, that's not gonna end well for him. And apparently he didn't get to have his ski vacation. Tear. So we gotta find the humor. All right. We need to go all check out and go watch some of the Oscars for a little bit. I think we need to go watch the glamorous dresses, and if you're like me, go should have seen that, and I didn't see any of that bit. So I've seen Oscar movies. Have you seen any? Chat, have you seen any Oscar movies? Because I have seen one. I want to see a few more, but I've only seen one. So. You know what? Before I take off, I'm just buffering in real time. I'll get the bumpers made for my squirrels eventually. I have discovered that I cannot do Tuesdays and Thursdays while also working full time and taking care of a dog and, trying to talk with people outside of the internet. So for now, this is just going to be weekly. This is my mother masquerading as me. Haven't seen any movies in months. We'll just go look at the pretty dresses and movie clips and use the movie clips and the wins to determine what we're going to watch. I don't know. So going forward, we might have some longer shows. This is going to be, this one is longer because it took forever for, that was a lot. But we're going to gather on Sundays at 6:00-ish, and we're going to have our chats, and we're going to catch up on things that went on over the week. This coming week, we might put politics on the shelf for a little bit because it's going to be a lot of stuff happening in courts, and I'm following all of that. So let's see where we're at. Follow me. This is where I'm at on all the things. Let me know. Let me know if you've got something that you want me to cover. Usually, we all sit down and we go, we got to do this. But as usual, let me know what you are looking for and all of that for news stories. If you want me to cover something, if you just want my commentary on some of the bullshit that keeps coming out of these press conferences, I probably shouldn't call it that, but I don't feel super nice today. Let me know. And otherwise, I do say in the intro, politics, pop culture, and courts. So I'd like to get to some of the pop culture and courts part of this instead of just politics. So if there's something that you want me to cover that falls into those two categories, please let me know, because that would be lovely. Next week, I'd like to take a break. I don't know. If we'll get that, but we will try. Yes, this. And with that, that is my excellent reminder for me to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for all of us gathering together and keeping each other company on Sunday evenings while global weirding just expands to astronomical levels. And with that, be well, do good, and remember, bark a lot. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.